Hello everyone, and welcome to Galaxy 89 Cars. Today, thanks to Mercedes-Benz Ascot, I'm bringing you an in-depth exterior and interior tour and exhaust video of a 2018 E53 AMG Cabriolet. It has been 23 years since Mercedes-AMG last crafted a performance-orientated coupe variant of the E-Class, the last being the E36 AMG. Unlike Mercedes' recent 8-cylinder offerings in the full-fat AMG bracket, the E36 came with a 6-cylinder engine, which is laid out in the straight configuration. Despite over 2 decades separating the E53 from the E36, Mercedes has stayed true to the car's powertrain, mostly. Its mild hybrid powertrain has got many purists asking whether this is a true AMG. Despite being a coupe, this isn't a short or light car with a weight of 1900 kilograms and length of 4846 millimeters. Before we can take a look at the engine itself, we first need to unlatch the bonnet. This can be done by pulling the red latch found inside the driver's footwell. After depressing the small latch on the underside of the bonnet, it can be pulled up and self-supported on 2 struts. The black area signifies heat shielding on the underside of the bonnet. The new E53 AMG is the brand's first attempt at a hybrid or hybrid-assisted combustion powertrain, a front-mounted inline 6-cylinder combustion engine that is aided by a single twin-scroll turbo. This part of the powertrain produces 435 brake horsepower. The mild hybrid element comes from a 48-volt electric compressor and energy recovery system that also helps to reduce lag and improve boost via a starter alternator. This can produce a total of 21 additional horsepower, also known as EQ Boost at Mercedes. This brings the car's potential output total to 456 brake horsepower and 520 Nm of torque. This mild hybrid system produces a 0 to 62 mph or 100 km/h time of 4.5 seconds, 1/10 down on the coupe, and a limited top speed of 155 mph, or as high as 167 mph or 270 km/h if the driver's pack has been selected. Now we've explored the powertrain, the bonnet can be closed and we can continue with the model overview. The car is fitted with front and rear 20-inch 5 twin-spoke light alloy wheels. Stability comes from the car's new 4MATIC Plus system that provides 4-wheel drive capability, although there is typically a bias towards the rears for a more engaging driving experience. The car is also fitted with self-leveling and adaptive air suspension that can be adjusted thanks to the car's selectable drive modes. Braking is provided by drilled and ventilated discs at the front and rear. Now we've finished with the model overview, we can begin the exterior tour from front to back. Mercedes-Benz's most recent design language was brought in during 2017 and has divided opinion. The lowest portion of the front bumper has retained its division into 3 flowing air intake segments. The outer intakes now feature gloss black extensions on the outermost edge, and metal strips running through the centre, which are carried from the lowest central strip. The central grille has somewhat retained its subtle inverted chevron form, but has now been softened further with an extra chrome strip running through the middle. The lights on either side have lost their staggered LEDs and now feature 2 inverted LED tick strips and LED main dynamic and adaptive lights below. These also have adaptive cornering functions. Moving up, the bonnet has lost its central line and now has more of an AMG power dome, forged by 2 raised sections. The windscreen behind is slightly larger than before, and now comes with Mercedes written in the bottom right corner. Moving along the lateral aspect of the E53, we can already see a few differences between this and the previous model. The chrome strip under the windows is straighter, and the body line is less pronounced. There's a new Turbo 4MATIC Plus badge just behind the front wheel arches. The wing mirrors behind and above are smaller than before and are also significantly more softened. However, they have retained their dual integrated indicators. They are presented here in gloss black, thanks to the night pack, and have proximity sensors on the underside. The roof above is finished in red and comes with a small glass window at the rear. We will explore the opening and closing mechanism and time later in the video. At the very bottom of the roof is a clear LED brake light strip, which was seated atop the boot lid in the previous model. The fuel tank flap sits to the right here. It can be unlatched with a light depress thanks to its spring action. The tank itself has a capacity of 66 litres, with the car offering a combined MPG of 40. Now at the rear, we can immediately see it offers very different design language to that of the previous model. The slight ducktail spoiler now extends further out. The lights have much softer edges and now wrap further around the side of the car. The reverse light is now presented at the top of the complex, with a crushed crystal effect centrally and staggered LEDs below. Moving down, the rear of the boot lid is far smaller and softer than before, with the reversing camera central and insignia on either side. Below, just behind the rear arches, are new cutaways with air vents that help to create a more dynamic aesthetic. At the bottom, there's a new plastic section that, with the chrome strip, joins the bumper to the diffuser. On either side of this, we find the dual ovular exhaust exits from the new sports exhaust system. This is a valve control system, but the exhaust can't be individually adjusted like it can in the new G63 for example. Instead, it can only be opened by selecting one of the sport modes. Let's hear how it sounds, first in Comfort and then in Sport Plus. Now we've finished the exterior tour, we can move inside. The key also features Mercedes' new design language and features 3 buttons to lock, unlock and open the boot. The E53 has a keyless entry and drive setup, and despite this being a coupe, the doors aren't that long and can therefore be opened easily. We can start the in-depth interior tour with the doors. The top starts with a smooth leather upholstered panel and the aluminium door lock indicator. A small badge below draws our attention to the side impact airbag at the top, and dual contrast stitching takes us forward to the seat adjustment controls, 3-stage heating and ventilation, and 2 Burmeister speakers that are part of the 13-speaker system. Below there's an armrest section in softer leather with the door release, lock controls and electric windows, and mirror controls below. At the very bottom we find a small light with a storage space and boot lid control. The sill to the left is neither high nor wide, and so makes for straightforward ingress and egress. It is topped with a metal and illuminated AMG kickplate. As we move inside, we first find the electric parking brake, the exterior light controls and cruise control, parking sensors, and the first manually adjustable air vent. The steering wheel is to the left of these controls. Before we can take a closer look, we must first close the door. As I mentioned before, this is a relatively small door for a coupe and is therefore easy to pull in. When the door is closed, the seatbelt is presented to you, as it otherwise sits quite far back. We can then turn the car on, using the glowing button to the left of the steering wheel. Both 12.3-inch screens from Mercedes' new extended cockpit turn on and begin their start sequences. The stalk behind and to the right of the steering wheel is for the car's transmission, the brand new 9-speed fully automatic transmission. The wheel is formed in quite an angular design, with slight edges above the 9 and 3 positions to create a more motorsport-inspired feel. It starts at the top with a red 12 o'clock marker and soft leather, perforated leather at the 9 and 3 grip positions. The new aluminium inlays and black touch-sensitive buttons are next, with controls on the left for the central screen and call and volume controls. The centre section is now circular and includes the horn, with buttons on the right that control the driver's display and cruise control. Below, there's an engraved AMG logo in black. The default display ahead is quite classic to those familiar with AMG. A speedo with gear selected on the left, trip info centrally, and rev counter on the right, both with checkered backgrounds. Due to its new fully digital nature, these displays can be adjusted and customised. The central portion can show real-time range and consumption info, eco display that shows how efficiently the car is being driven, current journey info, trip info from reset, current speed and total mileage. The dial to the right first displays revs and EQ charge and power below, but can also show a G-meter, real-time boost, power and torque, oil temperature, tyre pressure and water temperature, basic current journey trip info and navigation. By pressing the home button, which is located on the right-hand side of the wheel, we can also access a secondary menu screen for the central display, service information, assistance information, attention and lane assist, real-time boost, power and torque info, temperatures, drive mode and traction control settings, G-meter, lap timer, then the trip we saw earlier, navigation including direction of travel, radio with station icon, media and then telephone connectivity options, both physical and signal. Finally, we can choose between 3 themes: Classic, which is currently in use, then Sport, and finally Progressive, which provides a far more minimalistic display. As mentioned before, all of this is controlled using the buttons to the right of the wheel. Looking at the dash above, we see vents atop of the air vents, and more contrast stitching along the extended leather upholstery. We can now explore the features offered by the second 12.3-inch screen below, and the new Mercedes infotainment system and user interface. This is not a touchscreen interface, so all adjustments need to be made using the button to the left of the wheel, or the controls in the central column below. We first find navigation, which can be zoomed in and out of by using the scroll wheel below. We can also manually input destination, and select from the list of pre-selected destinations. The full AM, FM and DAB digital radio is next, with station icons. The screens for Bluetooth, USB and aux connectivity to facilitate extended media and telephony come next. Mercedes in-car office works somewhat like a PA. A to-do list can be saved, with calls and messages being scheduled into the system, which can then be automated along with navigation, so the driver never needs to take their hands off the wheel. Mercedes Connect can be used to connect directly to Mercedes customer service, but also connect to Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and the Mercedes App Store. In vehicle, a variety of settings can be adjusted. Seats can be utilised to adjust seat heating and ventilation for both front seats. Climate control offers an air freshener and ionizer function. The energising comfort screen pairs ambient lighting and seat heating and ventilation to offer specific ambiances. The two available here are Refresh and Vitality. In Dynamic Select, we can view information on engine, vehicle and dynamic data. Next we have settings for the 4 different active assistance screens: Traffic Sign Assist, Camera and Park Assist, Active Brake Assist and Attention Assist, for when the car feels the driver is losing consciousness or becoming tired. Finally, System allows us to update time and date and adjust input, audio, connectivity and display settings. The addition of the Premium Pack means this car comes with the new 64-colour, fully adjustable ambient lighting system. The LEDs for this system wrap around the doors, above and below the display, below the dash, in the air vents and along the central column. Here we can select a single colour, from white to white, but including red, pink, purple, blue, green, yellow and orange, but also 10 preset multicolour options. The final option here is the reversing camera, which has 3 different views and moving guidelines. As mentioned before, this screen can be controlled using the buttons to the left of the steering wheel. We can now move down onto the central column. The buttons on the first array are for from left to right. Temperature controls for the passenger zone, to alter which vents are used, fan speed, auto ventilation, max front demist, menu, max rear demist, sync, recirculation, air conditioning, and the temperature controls for the driver's zone. Below this is a second button array that offers controls for from left to right. Direct access controls for the infotainment system, nav, radio and media, an analog clock, telephone, vehicle and hazard lights. Moving down, we find the dark ash wood inlay with an aluminium topped flap. A light depress releases the lid and exposes 2 cup holders, a USB input and NFC charging station. It can be closed easily. The main control array for the infotainment system and drive modes is behind this. From left to right, the dynamic select shifter to change the drive modes, transmission, suspension and traction control, touch-sensitive paddle scroll wheel underneath, and volume scroller, screen standby, engine start-stop and reversing camera. There's an aluminium control array behind that can be used to open all windows, lower and raise the roof, open the storage compartment behind, and the wind deflector. Pulling the central button up, we can retract the roof, which takes around 20 seconds to be fully secured behind. The system can be used at speeds of up to 31 miles per hour. As previously mentioned, depressing the button just behind opens the top to the central storage compartment. It's a fairly large compartment, and inside we find a box containing the locking wheel nuts and USB and aux inputs. On either side, we find the leather-heated, ventilated and electrically adjustable sports seats. These are the top option available, as I don't think this car can be spec'd with the full buckets. They also come with an air scarf vent to the bottom of the headrests, which can warm or cool the neck of the occupant when the roof is down. Now we've finished in the front, we can move to the rear. There's a small metallic clasp to the outside edge of the seats that can be pulled to move them forward. Now in the rear and looking ahead, the first things we see are the intake fans for the air scarf system. Moving down, there's a slim storage pocket. And as we move around, we can see there's actually a fairly usable amount of room for a sports coupe. Starting towards the right, we find a Burmeister speaker. Below this is a control for the rear right electric window with a small open storage area just behind. Moving left, we can take a closer look at the air scarf intake fans. The rear of the central column projects into the rear of the car with two manually adjustable air vents. As the rear seating arrangement is comprised of two full fixed seats, the dual cup holders are fixed below, instead of being integrated into a deployable central armrest. I didn't get to experience the seats while driving, but they certainly felt supportive and comfortable here. As we finish in the rear, we can now move on to the car's remaining storage capacity. On the passenger side, there's a lockable and illuminated glove compartment that offers reasonable storage space. To open the boot, we can depress the last button on the key or depress the Mercedes logo to the rear of the car. It can offer up to 435 litres of storage capacity. It's also illuminated and offers a small netted section to the left, here holding the medkit. To increase storage space, the rear seats can be laid partially flat, and the small flap above can be lifted, but only when the roof is up. Now moving back into the car briefly, we can see the large leather upholstered sun visors with illuminated vanity mirrors. There are a few controls above for the various reading lights and the SOS system. Ahead of these is a deployable glasses case or small storage area, and finally the slim frame auto-dimming rear view mirror. So that concludes my tour of this 2018 E53 AMG Cabriolet. Thanks again to Mercedes-Benz Ascot for allowing me time with the car. Please find all their contact details in the description below. Please subscribe for all the latest content, and until next time, thanks for watching.